Hey guys, so today I want to talk about cooking with wood on a charcoal grill, which I don't know why more people don't do it, to be honest. That's firewood in the background, but we get a lot of scraps, pieces we can't really stack, little chunks that don't really work as firewood. Plus around the yard, we have all these hickory branches that come down that I'm honestly going to need to chop up and burn somewhere anyway. So I can put those in the fire pit, or I can put those in here. Other than gathering the wood, which like I said is stuff that's lying around the yard that I'm going to have to get rid of anyway, so it really doesn't add extra time. There's not too much more to this process than cooking with charcoal. The thing to remember is that you're not trying to make ash here, and you're not going to cook over open flame. You're basically trying to make charcoal, which means that once I get this fire good and hot and I add some of those larger pieces, like here's a chunk of oak, that's not going in a pile. Got some more scraps. So once this gets going, I'm going to put the lid on with the air open and just kind of shut it down a few times. So you got a temperature gauge on here. You're going to bury that thing. Just be careful if you're doing this, because if you get a ripping hot fire in here, once you shut it down, when you go to open it up, after a few times of doing this, you build up creosote. You might see all that goodness. That's flavor right there. All the scaly stuff. It's creosote. I'm just gonna add a lot of wood. One thing to be careful of, don't go overboard. So you've got your grill, like your actual metal grate. Make sure you don't put so much wood in there that it's gonna sit above, so that there's like 3 little metal tabs this needs to sit on. Make sure you at least have enough room that even if you have to take a poker and work it down, you can get that grill to sit the way it needs to. So basically guys, free fuel. I think it tastes better than a charcoal grill. It definitely tastes better than like that lighter fuel impregnated stuff you might get at like the grocery store, the hardware store. So it's going pretty good. It's going to need to burn for a little while. And like I said, I'm going to shut it down. Then once it's burned down enough that you've got a layer of like red hot coals and you're almost ready to cook on it, then you're going to take your grill, and obviously the flames won't be shooting up like this, so it'll be a little bit easier. But you take your grill, drop it on. The Webers have these nice little wings at the side. So if you need to add, like if you're cooking at a barbecue or something, you're doing multiple rounds of like chicken or stuff like that, you may need to add more fuel. But you can just open that up, and then as long as you've got like fairly small chunks, you can just throw more chunks into the hot coals and keep it going. So that's about it. It's got, and I know they have like fancy Traeger grills and stuff now. If you have the money for that, that's great. Like on this one, you probably can't do smoking as well. Haven't really tried it too much. But these kettle grills are pretty cheap. It's an alternative fuel source if you're worried about that kind of thing, like if the grid's down. And the good thing is, if you live in a place like this with a lot of trees, you don't have a supply chain to worry about. It's free fuel. I don't know what charcoal goes for, but I'm sure it's not free anymore. Propane's not free. And honestly, like if you've ever cooked on a grate over a campfire, you get pretty much the same results, maybe a little bit smokier because you're cooking with the top down. If you choose to, I mean, if you get a hot enough bed of coals, you can just leave this open and cook with it open too. So up to you, but this is something I haven't seen anybody else make any media about it, and I think it's a really good way to go. So if you've already got one of these Weber grills and some wood, give it a try. It's not going to cost you anything. There's a little bit of a learning curve about making sure it's burned down enough. Honestly, the main problem is too many coals. It's an obvious problem, but too many coals, or if they're not burnt down enough, they're going to rekindle and char your meat. And not enough coals is, I would say, less of a problem. Another trick I learned from some guys from Jamaica, might be a good idea if you're the kind of person that typically has a beer open, or even if not, just a water would work. But if it's too hot and you've already got meat on there, you can just take part of your beer and dump it on there, slow it down, throw the lid on there, all that steam. It's actually, like if you're trying to make really juicy chicken, you actually can slow cook on this. So, just something to consider. All right, thanks guys. If you haven't checked out the channel, consider that and like and subscribe.